Greetings and welcome to earGROUND New Voices Amplified. And today we're not speaking to a new voice, but we're speaking to an iconic voice, a legendary voice, a veteran in the industry, in the broadcasting industry. Somebody who inspired many of us, many of us. I've met so many people that have said, watching Love Jones on TV, hearing him on radio, seeing what he did in the entertainment and showbiz scene in Zimbabwe, gave me the sense of imagination that made me who I am. So without much ado, I'd like to welcome Elder Love Jones. Welcome to earGROUND.
Thank you for having me.
It's such an honor to have you here. I grew up, being a big fan, but I know most people recognize you from Rockers Vibes, and they know you from radio, and they know you from the entertainment scene. And just to start with, Love Jones. Who's Love Jones?
I don't even know, because that's a name that came in the days of like the gong, and there's this guy called Velvet Love Jones who's like was like an American pip. This movies, and because the terminology Love Jones means when you're hopeless to love. So it was all the daily business and the dress smart and outsmart everybody, and just be that guy who's in his own movie with his own soundtrack. And we just later shortened it to Love Jones just to keep it. And that was when Teach Now came in. It's about, I think, 98 or so after he moved back from South Africa. And he made Serakuna. And we just stuck with that name, and then we moved on with that. And it's always been that now. And like I said, it's all nothing but love.
Great.
And hopeless to it. Hopeless to it. You gotta be able to be hopeless to love.
Yes. Deep. I'll take you back to your childhood. You grew up Kufio, Highfield, Mishamukuru, and this is a place where a lot of legends hail from. How do you recollect and remember your early days or your childhood growing up in Highfield?
This was the hub of, I think, art. You know what I mean? Art, I'm literally just talking. It was a melting pot of talent. So I remember listening to Teach on the other program talking about the little things that you needed to get out. Okay, it was you either good at football, or you're a musician. And to be honest with you, the academics were not really looked at as something that was amazing, or here to be an entrepreneur of some sort of kind of like business mind. But for you to be said, somebody said, oh, he went to varsity. I mean, I think our generation was the one that was like, oh, you need to go to varsity. It was about, you gotta find something. And then not to mention the other people with the talents like Anadube Jones, the pickpockets, right?
Yes.
Guy Thomas. And then Kunevaskano, the hustle their thing. So it was just everything right there. And you had to find your niche. You had to find yourself among us, Lord. Because there's a society of bottle store, and then and this is things that I used to see like just before my time. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm just not the kind of guy. I mean, I know there's something out there that's slightly different, and just lucky enough, because I used to just like trying to hang out with like people I know, they were old, and I had Josh Macau down the street right now.
Legend.
Yeah. Teach just popped up from there, end up I think my 10, I had Ben Mauchaza next door, next street.
Wow.
He is the first guy to take me to ZBC when I was young. And so he was doing his rock on tree, and one weekend said, listen, pop out. I saw the studio, And I thought, you know what, I can do this. But then the difference with him and them, he was an academia too. He is somebody who believed in education at the same time. This is just something that I love. That's my passion. Like my bills are paid different. So there was that balance of just having people like him to mentor me and just to point out little things. You know, when he goes out on his gigs and to take me to all these ministers' houses where they do the private gigs, and I'll just tag along as well. And I would see that, yes, there was Gringo, there was places, there was Bordeaux that I had never been to. Like on that day, rather than just passing through or getting invited to one of your relatives. And that's what I want to. And I say, I want to go and live there. I want to do that. But taking you back, my street was called Mawaire, so on, for one purpose. Yeah. So all the guys used to rehearse the music at the Panadagi, you know, where this guy, I know it's Chimsoro, remember the song, yeah, Oliver Ntuku, Chimsoro Wanyanya.
Oh, was it actually somebody from the hood? Chimsoro Wanyanya?
Yeah. His name was Pindurai, you know, and this guy, I think he later joined the police for years after that. So as a kid, you would see Oliver carry his guitar, you know, in his Tommy shoes, just coming down the street, and you run and help him carry his guitar. You walk to the house, you watch Muddy Face, you watch, there was Big Tembo ended up living right the house across, by Panamatin, you know, and I would so clearly see his picture in his red, you know, like then like Adidas looking tracks to this pata. This is the early days. So come Zimba, come everybody who's everybody. The Thomas used to come and hang out there. So it was just like that whole Ocean City band, you know. So I saw almost everybody up and down the street because it was closed. So my grandmother's house where I was born and raised was right in the corner. So there's that noise coming from there every day. And that's that place your grandmother's telling you, where does my guitar Aurora? You know what I mean? Because she's really trying to put me in that academia kind of set of state, like I'll pay anything for you to go to school and get something and not do that, not play football, because you're not good at it. The music thing, you can't sing, you know? So there's this option. And so I was really forced to be that kind of like one kid from the beginning.
Ideally, you're in a neighborhood where there are a lot of creatives, but there's also a lot of hustling that is happening in that neighborhood. And all of this is frowned upon. People look at it, Magitari and Chiromba, boys,
Ora, no, don't. You know, because this is somebody who's, because that's my great grandmother, Eleanor.
Yes.
And this is somebody who's coming from that background of like she's singing all, and she's partly like into politics and stuff. And so there's that side, and then she go to church. So it's really that side which is difficult when you live on the main road. This is Mangwende Drive East. Yeah. Next door is a pub, right? And there is another pub next door, right? And this is just before my school, Upper Park Garage. So you're waking up at 9 o'clock, or possibly 9 o'clock or 11 every day. The jukebox will start until maybe 9 or 11 every day.
Wow.
You know, that's you don't need to turn your radio on because there's blaring music out every day. This is the primary school I went to, just across the road. Yeah. You can hear the music in class. So you end up just your music. So it's like all my life has always had a soundtrack, whether I played it or somebody played it. So this is how you just really trying to put together the memories of time and place. It's like still can smell it today.
Wow. That's quite deep. That's quite deep. That, I mean, you grew up surrounded by music, and everywhere you go, where you went, I mean, there was music, but still, this was an art or something that society disapproved as something that somebody could pursue. But then you mentioned that you had your first visit to the radio station with Benma Uchaza, right? And fast forward from the first appearance at the radio station to the time that you finally got your turn to be on radio. What was the journey like? I mean, in between, because there was the era of breakdance, there was house music, there were a lot of things, the club scene, and you're now a DJ, you're now into music, you're into showbiz. What was transpiring in between you?
I mean, I was evolving because, to be honest with you, it's deeper. It wasn't just about the music. Like I said, everything that I did had a soundtrack to it. So music is just a soundtrack. It's a band where you lay on top of voices, and my action, my life was the music. So you understand? There's the band. So you play me a song, there's me on top. So it's layers. To me, it was about films. It was about movies. So growing up, because you come from a time where we didn't have TVs,
Yes.
right? And just a possible one or two people down the street would have a television. We used to go to this house next to the Amawairis,
Yeah.
Panazak. We were kids, like me and a whole bunch of friends, from my street, Martin, and your name. And this beautiful old lady, oh bless her soul, she would like say, listen, what I'll do is a whole bunch of you, beautiful house, just like, how the hoods are, you always got your, she would open the curtain, right?
And you can watch TV from outside?
From the veranda, from the veranda, so we all stand on the veranda, watch the TV, and we would hear the volume because it's in-house, because she opened the windows. There's a whole bunch of kids. And all. I mean, sometimes we would let us go in the house, but because we wanted to watch TV when they started having cartoons, which was about 4 or 5-ish. Remember, we had late nights. There was no day TV. So all we wanted, it wasn't Anna Falcon, Christian Dallas, because we know there was a chance. So we used to have these favorite cartoons we used to watch. So we'd watch through the window. And then we would make up our own sound and what they say by reenacting all that when we were just sitting like on a bridge and all that. So it was about impersonating somebody. Is like, imagine how Charlie Chaplin makes you feel Mr. Bean without the sound. And my story is then I'll take my own, bad and create my own sound, whether it's music, whether it's just vocal. So that's why. So my first love was music. So I went to films, did a couple of Waiters. That's a Davis, which is a sitcom called Waiters, because the 5 6 Chukwu and Yara were there. In one of the episodes, Africa Dreaming with Farai Sevenzo, Patois in there as well, Steve Mazere, and an amazing journey. And I had a couple of scenes here and there. I'm talking adverts, and because it was hard for us to get TV equipment, it was easier for us to get music equipment. So I would, just venture into that more, but at the same time, really trying to look at that space to say, look, how can I get involved with both sides? Because I knew music was just always going to be this. Everybody's a baby crying, it's his first cry. It's rain, it's sound. But this thing here of trying to create something so we can package it and tell our stories differently was probably the hardest thing. So after that, I tried to learn more about production. And this is where now Tish Matthias comes in with Coca-Cola and Kuluman Productions. So I became the producer of Coca-Cola on the Beat.
Wow.
And then Coca-Cola Gem Zone, which was the radio side, which is Coca-Cola Gem Zone, and then Coca-Cola on the Beat. So this is just somebody who didn't know what being a producer was or what the name meant. Was like, okay, you're producing this thing.
And there was no professional training for you to get into this?
There's this gentleman, Ozias Bute, right? I think from a mentor. Very good mentor, very business-minded guy, and also very instrumental in really trying to shape me up on that level, because I've had a lot of people that I've dealt with before that, it was a whole new world, but I was more open to it because then my eyes would be open because I traveled a bit before that. I mean, I've been to places now like in Europe and all that, but I had an idea in South Africa, like, okay, this is what happens. And working with Jazz Seed on the road as well for Bongo Muffin when they were doing their albums, of course, South African, watch how things are done, go to TV studios. But I had an idea, but I had this task that I'd never done before, and which is what teachers were to say, never say no, learn how to do it or find someone who can do it and will show you how to do it. So I just ran with that. So every day I would try as we go by, to the point where we had a moment where we end up putting the wrong makeup on Teach for television and something like that. So the guy comes out all ghosty white, like Love Jones. I'm like, so it's those moments where sometimes I just look back. So from the streets, no idea, not even the definition of what a producer is. This guy gives me a role, you're producing the radio show, you're producing the television show. And it's not just that, there was things like on our Safe Show, Pick a Box. I mean, we picked up quite a lot of contracts, during that era. And and I got to understand the business.
Wow. It's quite interesting because when you mention Kulumani Productions there, I remember us watching TV as kids. There were very small moments that would feed our imagination and make us excited to think creative-wise. Just the sign-off signature, Zwazwiri, at the end of to know that this production, we're watching this beautiful Cock on the Beat, but it's been produced by a Zimbabwean, and to hear the accent, like you boys, you were young boys coming from Highfield, you were very young coming from Highfield, but when anyone heard you, Love Jones, Teach Matai, speak, they would not have imagined you having been some ghetto youths. The accent was on point, the English was on point, everything was on point. Like it was, for me, I looked at this as what we saw on TV from Hollywood, we're now seeing it from someone that we could relate to, say, oh, he's actually Zimbabwean. And I remember there were always arguments, they're not Zimbabweans. I think they must be Americans or something like that, because of how perfect you were in terms of your presentation. But what did that do to you to see your dream from all those years now coming into fruition, now into production? You're now seeing TV, you're now seeing radio.
It was never a dream. Like I said, I am. You have a bucket list in life, right? You tick things off. Like I said, I grew up with no television. Forget television. My gates are cherry. Candlelight started.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's gonna open the window so the street light can come in so you can read. Right. So that's the journey of just coming from the other side. And I'm not talking of something that is rare. This is a whole bunch of us. I can give you celebrities or personalities or businessmen that come from that era. And I think that sort of hardens you and makes you want to achieve more. But every time you get to a certain head ceiling, you smash it. Because you always have this thing that there's nothing called, let's say, not enough. But as long as you can create something that offers service, and you can't run out of offering service. Like I said, it's all about love. You can't say, I don't want to love you today, because you might be angry today, but it's something that you always need. Like as technology evolved, I noticed everything that I did. We're coming from where there were no like keyboards and sound cards, and we're coming from where there were no big machines. We're coming from 8 tracks. We're coming from cassettes. We're coming to CDs, mini disc. We're moving into VHS too. So I'm that guy that now it's either I'm watching it evolve or I evolve with it. So for me to be able to maybe pop up and be on a channel 4 in England, UK, would be like, oh, wow. And someone will give me a call. Same thing like Tito would say, listen, man, I like your Rockers Vibe show, because that's my independent production outside him now. And I was like, okay, I got this, right? So what else can I do?
Wow.
What else? And it's never a moment of saying, it's okay to toast to it, but who's doing the most? That's what really matters. Because we are happy to say I'm successful, but what is success?
Yeah, true.
It's something that you can't attain the whole entire life. But if you chase after a passion, that's something that goes away like my mint or bubblegum once in a while. So to me, it's more about trying to maintain, offer service, and create something that is always going to be there before, even after my time. We're moving back and forth. So it's just art. You can't put a date to it. We used to want to buy Picassos and Basquiat artists that's been done then, and their value keeps going up every single day because you can't really put a value to it.
Wow, great. And Heart of Rockers Vibes. That's one program I think most people from my generation got to know Love Jones, and you created a signature. Tell us about that program, how you got to be part of it, what was the story behind it, and yeah.
See, the blessing still, because this is just the time when I was still doing Coca-Cola on the Beach, Coca-Cola Jam, and during that time, I was also a club DJ, right? Mostly because I had grown up in an era where the beginning and the foundation of what we call reggae or dancehall. It's Kumarani kwa Machipisa who no, Panexpen Kwanzura. What was that? But
Zimbabwe
Zimbabwe Hall.
grounds. Zimbabwe Hall, yes.
So go back to Mosia Tunya, Level Vibes, Stereo One,
Africa
Small
One.
X, and Farai, and everything else that came, after that was Sanu Bakatangira Nyaji. So there's a period where we used to like going to Sekas and breads and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So came the funky era, the jazzy beat, the soul to soul. There was that infusion of whatever it was, reggae, the Busta Rhymes, Urum Rasta, but you got the hip hop, Urum Rasta, but there's the loose ends era, the Carl McIntosh era,
Yes.
Where the funky bread was a thing. But because I'm coming from a hub where dancehall is also, and our intention was, can we take this music uptown? So you look at Star Time, because Eddie Muffin is from my street. I grew up with Eddie Muffin from Star Time.
Wow.
So when they took it to Tetros, the Tuesday night, we try to push that as much as we can. But can we bring uptown to the vibes? Then by then, rumors used to be called a ballet high, and then teaching them used to do gigs there. After that came an Ajabi. That's after the movement from right before Chub. And Chub used to be a rave club. So it was really now us saying, listen, we got something that we've always loved. I've always loved reggae. Like growing up, I mean, this is one of the things. This is, like I said, the soundtrack to that inspires that guy and make him understand the position where he's like as an African. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it drives you. So he said, I got this thing. We need to take it to town. We need to make all the suburbans and the Manos love this, especially Makosa. Then we had something of our own that we could flash our locks, go there looking the way we want to look, and have a little, you know what I mean? Like a place in that, because otherwise, Chirobo child was either quarantine pim and you have little glass shoes and so I dread was big at zero and so it was like, okay, fine. Now
I'm at 2000 and only understand what were my robots then.
Oh, bro, masala,
Masala.
And, so it was that. And once we were there, then came the period where we said, we don't have anything in the club that is Zimbabwean. So come what now they call it, I don't know what we ever call it, Zim Danso. We'll get back to that. Right.
So the roots of Zim Danso, before it got to be called Zim Danso, it already started in the club scene in those days, sound systems and the introduction of local dancehall.
I'll tell you. Alan Ranks, Dad's, Papa Par, I think he was a policeman. This is Zim Danso. Vanhu vakatanga kuchanta nechishona.
Yes.
Tendai, he later came to Babylon. I think he's late now.
Culture team. Yes.
Right. These are the days where Farai, Farai Shampara, Small X,
yes.
and the people that were pushing the music, and Namuchi Timbe,
Yes.
And Jabi came in, Madeza, and Ghosts, Madeza. So, and Kevin MacGyver. This is early foundation, Chanta. So, because I used to go to Major E and Nabuka because we were from High Foods and stand outside these speakers and Jerry, who later became my neighbor, and I got those speakers in the end. I even into my drum. The sound was so loud, we heard from Lusaka, so we didn't need to pay, we just stand outside. And came the time when we get raided by the police. But what I heard was, so we can use our own language, right, on this music and make it sound like this. Now let me bring it to Rockers Vibes now. Rockers Vibes was, I was working on a project with TK, he just came back from Joburg, and Tino Katsan.
Yes.
And we were doing, he asked me to come and help him with this show, and Mako Machona.
Mako Machona, yes, Rough Cuts.
Yeah, Rough Cuts. They had a breakfast show they were trying to launch on TV. And he came by and picked me up. So I went to my friend Preston from Blackfoot Tribe.
Blackfoot Tribe, yes.
So we went to the studio that day, and because I was doing production for Kokolo on the Beat, so he thought it nice for me to help him out. And while we were sitting discussing his program, TK came by with a gentleman, I forgot his name, and said, look, there's a reggae show here. that needs a presenter and somebody to, just, we've tried like for the past 6 years or so, and it's not really, shaped into what they expected it to be. So he said, do you want to take a look? I was quite reluctant about this. Like, Preston, John comes right in, and Preston went into the boardroom. The guy put up a couple of tapes and he showed us a couple of presenters, and I don't think I should name their names.
Okay.
And I looked at it and I thought, it sounds like fun. And I said, Preston, you want to do this? Preston was like, yeah, let's do this. I didn't think much about it. I said, okay, look, we'll come back on Monday and we'll give it a try. I called Preston on Monday and I realized Preston had just left that weekend for England. He didn't even tell me. That's 4 people. I'm like, oh, I don't want to let the gentleman down. So I went to ZBC and met up with Samanyanga and Joe Mafema.
Joe Mafema, Gazi.
Yeah, and luckily these guys were like, oh my, kind of live with them. We're quite young and versatile too. And we sat down and said, like, for this thing to work, the reason why it doesn't work is ABC, because it's like this. Let me make it my thing, and all you guys just follow. If we go overboard, but because there wasn't much going on there, so I became the program. And my idea wasn't just now trying to put reggae out there. It was trying to connect reggae with culture. Rather than being in the studio, which is what I should do for Coca-Cola Beats and outside broadcaster, I would go in the streets, Kufio, Papa Isgate, Pep and Boys Guleza. Talk to anybody in the street. Just be around people, because that's what the music was all about. It was people's music, and I think to me it wasn't more about me. It was about the way I gave the program to the public and made it their own. And yeah, that was Rockers Back. So I went until I decided to move to England, and somebody else took over and somebody else. But yeah, I created that to my own standards, and I had a trajectory of what I expected it to be. And like I said, when it's your baby, right?
Great. And fast forward, we look at the development of the reggae and the dancehall scene in Zimbabwe, which became the mainstay for the past 10 years. And there is a connection to Rockers Vibe. There is a connection to the sound system era. If you're looking at Rockers Vibes, Winky D was also, a presenter of that program, a baby that you birthed. How did you feel when Zim Dance was taking off and you're looking at all those efforts? Did you feel a sense of impact to say what you did contributed to the development of something that a crop of youngsters are now eating off?
I mean, I can't take credit for anything, because, like I said, maybe I was just partly instrumental of, of the crop that was just being harvested, because it's a lot of great minds and artists that believed in one thing for a moment and said, look, we're going to do this. I mean, there was, if you look, like I said, it comes from Para and in that era, and Major Ephraim, Innocent Guta, you have Marvin S, you have Booker, you have Potato during the Andy Brown era. I mean, you also had partly to play big, because because Andy Brown's crowd was different from downtown, like they were like a lot of foreigners and stuff like that. And for him to be able to sing that to this crowd and being accepted, that kind of made that genre even stronger, because now it wasn't just about the ghetto people. If the uptown people could accept that, that means we are finally arrived to a certain place that we are accepted as, I don't know whether it's a sub-genre or whatever it was. And yes, like you say, the television is just really going down there and interviewing the artists and talking to the artists, and radio helped, because what I used to do in radio was, while Chichi would be really known for, Magudada, and I would make sure that there's a certain segment that I would drop in some reggae or dancehall. You understand? So if you really look back, there was always that time then I would break into a little patois, and just, that was to say, listen, we're going to force our way in here. And we did. And today, most of these guys are flying all over the place, up and down, earning a living, and where this will go, I don't know, but it's something that maybe in the scriptures and somewhere they'll always say, listen, this was a turning point of our music. Like I said, nothing stays permanent. Everything is going to grow. So it's the grass and the child that you have at home. One day will be a father of his own as well. So.
There's that. So I'm going to tap, we're going to take a small break and come back for the last part of the program, where I want to pick a lot of your wisdom with regards to industry issues, industry matters. It will be difficult for the industry to move forward or to progress without the wisdom of the elders. And but I wanted to ask about the Patois, because for me, that was amazing. How long did you train to speak that way? Like, what was involved for you to actually have that deep and perfect Patois accent?
You know what you said was
Yes.
accent, not patois.
It's language.
If you really get to live in like now with Jamaicans and depending which parish they're from and all that, you find that you're not speaking patois, you're a joker. You know what I'm saying? But the accent, it's just a love of languages. Like I said, you can't really put it. Like, I would try kulebele kachikalanga, ukulumisi ndebele, or wherever part of I am, because I just love languages. My tongue would roll easy like that. So with Patois, because in the 90s, then I would travel a lot to Brixton, you know, for holidays, spend some time there, you know, and go back home. And besides just the yeah man, I mean, I listen to reggae. Listen, reggae. I'm talking Sophia George to Gelly, right? Right, all the way. It was still on Mana, SG, Hitsview, whatever it was then called.
Yes.
So I would listen to the radio. I never missed the top 20 or the top 10, or I'll never miss Peter Jones. Because it was all about music. That's the only thing that I had that I would call mine. So I understood about that, and me listening to it over and over. Like I said, you find your space after breakdance, after these days. I love music. But there's Jazzy B and loose ends. Now this is funky soul. That's my space. It's reggae soul, it's funky soul. I'm that kind, it's like a neo soul kind of guy. So you can't really cage me to that. Now the accent is easy. Listen, man, if you people mind you anything, you can learn it. You know, you can learn Japanese. You know, it's just like I said. So that was my niche, and I thought, okay, cool. Rather than sound like, what's up, dog?
Yeah.
This one would rather work, right? And it could be better, you know what I'm saying?
Bless, we're going to take a small break. We'll come back right after this. Stay tuned to earGROUND, New Voices Amplified. I'm speaking to Love Jones, the elder. Stay tuned to earGROUND.
New Voices Amplified. earGROUND.
Welcome back to earGROUND. Do you still remember that intro, like the intro that you made?
You know, I've evolved so much to a point where I can't even recognize the little me. Sometimes when I look back and I look at the pictures and I think, boy, what was that? People are like, oh, is that your son? I'm like, no, that was me then. You know? But the story is, would you rather like me then or rather be the new me? That's what I'm saying. It's somebody say that it was Ali. He said a man who's spent his last 30 years or 50 years still trying to remain the same person today has lost like 30, 50 years. So my intention is, it's this word, it's the sound. It's a message. You get it there, you pass it on. To me, it's a free flow, because sometimes you hold on to so much good that we stop the flow of giving. So whatever that I gave you, if it made a difference to you, your job was supposed to amplify it, like, which is what you're doing. And you're speaking about it today. But we'll go back to that in a minute.
Wow. And moving to the UK, did it transform you? How much change did that bring into you as a creative?
Man, that was, I'll be honest with you, it's a place that I never really see myself coming to settle or live. I enjoyed coming to shop and go back and, and enjoy everything else that it's offered. But there came a time when I really had no choices, left, but, because it had to do with the relationship, then my wife was probably understand. So I moved here because she wanted to come back home. So that's how I ended up here. But it took me a while, and still today, I would maybe look back thinking if I'd stayed, what could have happened. But like I said, it's just where I was supposed to be. And talking of changes, the place changed me to a point where somewhere along the line, I did lose the flavor of me. You know what I mean? I was so chew so much that you lose direction, you lose focus, you lose. It just really shakes you down to your core. But at the same time, there's a whole lot of things that came with it. I enrolled into colleges. I creative technology enterprise diplomas and to do with music, things that I love. I went to university, just got myself a little piece of paper for creative technology and enterprise in the media area, and that opened the door for me to be able to work in the local radio station, which is Express FM, and I used to play reggae on prime time.
Yeah.
So each stage had, and I managed to create reggae in my neighborhood, like the city that I live in, there wasn't much reggae going on, and start on my own gigs and just get the whole community together to vibe behind this music too. And I created a little sort of, I wouldn't say a group. I had Nash and a young chap called Marshall, and we called ourselves uh, what was it? The bit something, bit Exodus. Yeah. So we would produce for work with Juicer, BK and Kaz. So most of like one or two albums and some of the tracks you find in BK and Kaz, the Cynthia Mares, so we started working just making instrumentals and just producing for almost everybody out there as well. Yeah, the bit ovens, sorry about that. Yeah. No. And so that was part of my journey here of saying, okay, I've left Zimbabwe where I had my own studio. I had my own studio, and this is where the brown sugars came in. This is where now the Marisas came in. This is where the first encounters of a Junior Brown, I'm talking Patience Musa's first album. I'm talking going back with the Pied Pipers, the Andy Browns, the Chiwonisos. I could name a lot, and some of them are lost tracks. So I used to work with a lot of people. So yeah, coming to here, I was like, okay, what do I do? I brought a new sound, which was like, listen, you need to stop making this hip hop. Let's make this African music dance. So we started creating like dance, and we tapped into it, created that, and then a bit of reggae, and we just went on, created a whole lot of tracks for different artists all over. My studio is a paid party. A lot of artists from the neighborhood would come and cut their demos. I would charge them per hour, just like I used to in Zimbabwe. That was just my other, extension, tentacle. And yeah, the shock is still in with me today. Like I said, I came here my Jesus years. These are the when I was 31, 33. And like I said, I was meant to be here. That's why I'm here. But at the same time, it's been a journey which I still feel it's not really done yet. And if you understand about the Odyssey, the hero's journey, it's like every time you travel, there's always that place you always think you're home, but you want to go back to that first place and look it for the first time, like it's brand new. So my journey, my story is still being told. I wouldn't say where I am is home. I feel comfortable. I'm at home. I can't complain, man. Everything is okay. We're healthy, family's healthy, and like I said, looking at the situation in the rest of the world right now could be worse. And I'm blessed to be here, and I'm grateful. Like I said, I'm meant to be here. That's why I'm here. Yes, we've all changed. With changes come shocks, exfoliation. There's a whole lot of things that happen, with change. But you have to allow it. Yes. Like I said, nothing is stagnant, right? You can keep moving.
And talking about that movement and the evolution and the developments that are happening on the African continent and also globally, we see Africans, creatives, musicians, actors, actresses, they're now occupying the global space. But the Zimbabwean sound still remains very deaf when it comes to the international platform, except for very few bands like Mokomba and Ubuntu. The mainstream pop culture from Zimbabwe for me, it hasn't made inroads, except for a few that are already like, third generation kids and those that are living in the diaspora in UK already. We've had Zim Dancehall every year coming to the UK and still entertaining Zimbabweans. We see the same also happening in South Africa. What would you say could be the biggest shortcoming for Zimbabwean music, pop music, to find its international footing?
I mean, like everything else, which is we had to understand that with this turn of this new millennium, there was going to be a big disruption. And don't forget, we're coming from Y2K, the Napsters, how we're going to market our music, how we're going to, and all those changes. And when they say 2000, they didn't mean 2000 stops there. It's 2000 and beyond.
Yes.
And while we're looking at just sound, we have to understand what music is. Like I said, music is just a soundtrack too. And us as Zimbabweans, we are growing, we are evolving. I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, I'd listen to people like Pet Shange from South Africa,
Yes.
Steve Kekana, Steve Kekana. And those are like
Yes.
the sort of the Bob Mabana sound, and it was more like an imitation of the so-called Americans want to be, stuff like that. And we call it funk, or I don't know what it was. And when Oskido and they moved in there, they created that subgenre called the gong.
Yes.
And then from there it became quite. Now Oskido had a history of house music during his era, I believe, in Zimbabwe and Bulawayo. And because that's the time of the CC Pennistones, what we call Chicago house, and we used to dance to that.
Yes.
My days, my box cut. So yeah, so it's just looking into what's there and see what they can do. So when he moved, they created Quiet, and Quiet slowly became tribal house, right? Slowing down the tracks, and that became South Africa. And today we talk of Amapiano. Now, if you see for the first time, because they kept at it, but they allowed it to evolve and change into what it's meant to. You understand? They didn't hold on to like, this is Zim Dancehall, we're gonna keep it doom, 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 doom. No. They allowed it to evolve to, include the upcoming ideas and technology. You understand? Black Coffee just got a Grammy.
Yes.
It's like saying we're here now. Look at how many South Africans have got Grammys. Well, in Zimbabwe, we might talk of Brian Shoko, but like you said, he's based out there.
Yeah.
We hold on so much to goodness that we stop the flow of giving. You have to understand this. Everything has to grow. Everything has to evolve. We never had anything in the clubs. You couldn't play Perekets and Wana Brits. So we kept very American. So when that whole change about the 70% local, which came in during that time, gave us a window to say, listen, we can push some. This is where we pushed Zim down. So there was something that you guys call urban music.
Urban grooves, yeah.
We saw that, and we thought, okay, the soulful ones can do this in Shona, and we can reggae it and dancehall it too, and do our own thing, and be able to give our slang and our day-to-day language, but driven by a soundtrack. Now that soundtrack, that's what you call Zim dancehall. So what is Zim dancehall? Is it the soundtrack or is it the slang? Because at the present moment, I would probably take like one of my favorite artists, because I like his wordplay, is Mfana Enzo.
Yes, Enzo Aisha.
See how diverse he is. He can go on a big kind of trance dance, He can go on the boom, 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 boom bit, right?
Yes.
So it's just saying, look, I'm Biniman, I'm Sean Paul, but if you give me a rave tune, I can still do that on top of that. If you give me an Amapiano, I can still sing and lay my vocals on and still make it feel harmonious. So it's finding a space. It's a pizza.
Wow.
I have a lactose intolerance, so I don't like cheese, but I like pizza. So sometimes you gotta order the pizza without the cheese. So as full as is, there's two slices, there's other slices. I don't have cheese. So I don't want the whole thing. I just want my slice. But that comes as part of the whole pizza. The problem we have is we want the whole pizza. It just could be the toppings. Player position. You're not number 5, come by number 5. If you're a striker, number 9, keep shooting. Goalkeeper, stay on the pole.
Yes.
It's two things: being successful and being famous. And a lot of us chase after fame. So you get locked up in contracts that you can't come up with because they promise to give you endorsements of clothes and get a social media guy who they pay £5 just to keep posting your pictures, and you got 395 likes every other, and everybody knows you. But what's happening in the background is, are you getting paid what is due to your value? Are you evolving as an artist? Are they plugging you in the right places? Are you, so there's those things to look at. So there's music and the industry. Then there's the music industry is where we're lacking. I mean, you got people like Tino. Tino is an executive, right?
Tino Katsande.
Call it. No, not Tino Katsande. Mafunga.
Oh, Tino Ponamato, Taponisco Mavunga, yes.
She's boss. Girl is boss, right? If you go on social media, hit her up, hit her sister up. I ask her questions sometimes. She's up there. She knows the industry.
True.
Sometimes I would call Jusa.
Yeah.
Jusa, did you say, ask. That's how you know. Inspire to be inspired. You may not know everything. You may just know one thing of the industry. And the joy of that, you got YouTube, bro. How can you not know anything when you got YouTube? Well, I might say maybe it's because it's just in there, whatever Wi-Fi, but everything is in the books. Remember that saying? If you want to hide anything from the what? Put it in the book.
Black man, put it in a book.
We don't read enough. We don't read enough. We don't read enough. We don't research enough. Everything, all the answers we were looking for, if man has done it, they are there. Or a quick shortcut is dial up the man, ask him.
And could you be the reason why we see year in, year out a lot of battles between artists and other industry stakeholders? Like today, we woke up to this story about Celsius and Jacaranda, and we've been seeing the same trend time and again. Is it because artists are not taking time to read, taking time to understand things? The exploitation that, in quotes, keeps happening in the industry. We heard it from the Erana Dembo and the other artists and stuff, and we still see the same things happening time and again, different form, but there is still a lot of talk about exploitation, real or not real.
We can't control that. This is the animal farm, right? It's always going to be an Napoleon somewhere. That's a hierarchy of life. So it's a pyramid. So it's above, so it's below. But look at it this way. It goes back to where we have so much time, possibly that now because due to social media, but one thing that you always need to do is check your source. Just don't take everything in without actually, verifying to say that this source of material is relevant and besides being relevant, is the truth. Yuma Sekela had the same problem, I think, as a Yuma Sekela until he went to Oskido, and Oskido explained to me about publishing rights. And a professional musician like that, they start with that, right? A good lesson, I'll give you in chops, is look at, I don't know whether you know a guy called Ryan Leslie, American artist, producer. He's worked with P. Diddy. He used to get Ciara before Diddy.
Yes.
The guy, he's got a degree from Harvard Business School, right? Go back, Swiss Beat just went back to school and got a degree in Harvard Business School. Oskido right now, we're talking.
He's in school.
He's in school. After I
Did
achieved
your
all
king
that,
was in school?
bro, remember what I said to you? So what I did, what I thought I knew back then, I had to go to school. I had to go to university to get myself a degree in what I thought I'm good at. But then it made me realize that there's so much more that I need to learn. And by just knowing that I didn't know anything. So you can never stop learning. And that's in the subjects that you really, really sort of engrossed in. Now, it's simple as watching how Jay-Z created Rockefeller and then Rock Nation.
Mhm.
Right. You got money from being an artist. What do you do with that money? You invest it into other business entities. But what's the biggest thing you need to do is create a team of people that are knowledgeable in those avenues. You got Tata. I think now he's CEO of Rock Nation. That's his boy, that's his sidekick, that's his man right there. He's been there from day one, from the streets, right? Their money, they're business minded, they're chasing paper. You got Vegas Jones. He's in the, I think, upper rows and stuff. He's got that whole Puma deal going on for them,
Yeah.
right? You got Perez, husband and wife, Rock Nation Sports. Who is in there? Tower is in there. All the young footballers from England are in there. All the most of the basketball players. You go the alcohol department. You go Memphis Blake. I
Yes.
think he's working for. He's one of his Joseph or something. Look at this guy. You see, Plot is good at media. Take Plot in media. Don't put it in sports. But the sports
Yes.
guys need media. They'll go to Plot. You sit there and you create this team, this dream team, according to the strength that everybody has. Like I said to you earlier before this, I would like to acknowledge and thank you very much for actually creating a blueprint of what I think is the epitome of beginnings of enterprising. Because everybody says I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is what you do, it's not who you are. What you did was when I saw one of your posts where you had the financial manager, you had the media guy, I think he was the creative director, you had the guys in the streets, and some of those guys are still starting marketing degrees and social media. And to me, that was like, you see, this guy's got a plan. That's what it takes. It's just a well-oiled machine. And they run another gumbo, the driver on top, and being able to acknowledge, no, this is my strength and this is my weaknesses, right? These are my weaknesses, right? And allow each one to grow in their own and be their own bosses. And out of there comes what? More tentacles. We like to own things on the show. There's a good relationship that has worked so far, I think, is Banda and Winky D.
Yes.
If you look at King and Ja Pressure, they
Yes.
seem to be doing all right. Because it goes back to, I started noticing between Debbie and Oliver, Dr. Oliver. To me, I was like, okay, after watching all those bands, Ana Biggie Tembo,
Yes.
Ocean City Band, Zimba, Chi, and to me, I was like, what's going wrong here? Then you realize, no, don't worry about the king. Be afraid of the person behind the crown.
This is dead.
Kings come and go. Kings come and go. It's that machine behind it. And that applies in politics too.
Wow. That's deep. Wow. Yeah, that really hit home. Our focus is always on the king and not really paying attention to the person behind. I look at Benna Boyd, what he's doing, and I look at the mother, what she's achieved, the academic background. She's a powerhouse. And when you look at the brand and what it's doing, you can actually see the work that goes in there. Wow. What would be your advice right now to a young artist in Zimbabwe, somebody who's pursuing work in the creative or media space? Because right now with social media, the space can be very toxic. There can be a lot of negative energy. But you made a name, you built a brand at a time when there was no social media, where everything was still brick and mortar, everything was still manual and very conventional. But you still defied a background of not having access to a TV station, to a TV at home, but still being able to build one of the biggest TV shows to ever come out of Zimbabwe? What would you say to them?
It's 20% talent, 80% business. That's the formula. So, you come across a lot of talented people. First Street. Talent. That's talent, right? The kind of guy would go to Britain's Got Talent, this manager, and got a deal. Then, if you look around you, everybody has talent. Everybody's born with talent. Some of my blessings are, but you just have to look inside you and find out that thing that you're really good at and keep working on it until it becomes of value. Then, with value, then you get paid for it. But now, as good as you are as an artist, with that machine, that's the business, the 80%. You can go wrong. It brings back the story of this young man we were talking about earlier on the news, about deals that go bad and sour and you sign into the wrong. That has happened to a lot of people in this industry. Like I said, that machine as well can eat you up. Michael Jackson learned about publishing rights from Paul McCartney and later bought the Beatles catalog. Be a student of the game always. And it's not about the game. Jigga had to go and talk to Warren Buffett about business in the game. So you shouldn't just think because you're a musician, you are just going to talk about music. I mean, look at your investment. I see some young people are breaking away from just being musicians, investing in their little brands and companies. Some are opening little here and tuck shops here and there, That's enterprising. That's saying, okay, look, an artist sort of a lifespan in the industry is 4 years. You go in hard, you're making your name, and usually hungry. Your belly's hungry, it's on fire. The next 4 years is for you to establish yourself to now create a business. Usually the streets are open your own little studio or that you're good at, and start from there. Because after that, 8 years is because there's a kid who was 8 when you're in the game. 8 years later, he's 16. These are the tenacious that we're seeing making music in their bedrooms, and today they're global phenomena. So it's that 8 years you got, and what are you going to do? Because as an artist, you can't stay on top for 8 years and after. Yes, you can have a lot of #1 hits, but you got a lot of hits coming because every other kid is inspired by you and want to be you. And not only do they want to be you, they come and get that seat. Yeah. So back again to 80% business, 20% talent. You got talent, and these are things that we had to learn, and we made so many mistakes, and we're still learning today about, this is how it goes down. This, but just because you've been in that place, so my advice is like, listen, you're good at something, find yourself a good team. Sometimes short-term contracts work, see how it evolves, and make sure proofread, small print, find a lawyer, solicitor, before you sign anything. Talk to those people. There is a couple of people that are media solicitors and lawyers, and then get yourself an accountant. Register a company. That's your business. So you work as an entity, as a business, not as you, because then that helps you with your taxes and everything. That's not business. Because you have to look at yourself as a business. Like Jigga said, I am a business. He is the business. So when you're out there, stand there and go, look, this is my brand. This is me. Whoever comes with me is getting paid, and whoever is not going to eat. You have to learn to create that table. And even if there's no one sitting with you at that table, but there should be plenty of food for you to go around. And keep it tight. Tight as size of a pizza. If there are 2 pizzas, it's too big. That's how you forget about having a circle, have a dot. Pizza, 1 pizza should feed your team. Because as you grow, you're going to have other tentacles, and less is more because there's plenty for us.
True.
2 things, loyalty and trust. Run with that. Once you got your dogs, you're okay, you can go hunt. Problem at and you involved with so-and-so, and then so-and-so doesn't work. No. Grow a family. Your boys from the wood, I don't know how you guys have relationships, people that you know, but people that you can always trust. Even if when you're there, they know everything is all right. Even if after you, you know this thing is going to go on. Because it's not about us. It's about us just leaving our carbon footprint to say that we're here, you know, for generations to come.
And leaving that carbon footprint, what legacy would you want to create or leave behind and would be celebrated for as Love Jones?
My story is still being told. I really got nothing to say about that. I'm on my third. You know, this is like 3 wheels and 3 lifetimes.
Yes.
You know, I've never really looked at to say, like I said, I have achieved anything. Not yet. I'm still teething.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, the Ray Crocers and the, you know, the guys that created like KFC and McDonald's, those guys were late bloomers, like 65, 67.
Yes, yes.
You know, and you would get a young guy who comes in the game early and God calls him home, departs early. So I'm blessed to be still around and to be able to see things and be part of this whole new kind of spectrum, because it's a whole new world to me too. You know, as much as we say I'm a 2000, I have to be part of that. And it's possibly the most exciting time to be alive because of the change and embracing it. And there's so much more that I still feel that I need to learn and I need to sort of create and be part of in terms of this space. I mean, just now looking back to say, it's you now talking to me. And I'm saying, okay, what do I say to him? Because I've never even sat down to say I want to give an interview about anything, because what's to me is just what I do every day. You know, it's part of my life. It's like asking me about, oh, how did you wake up this morning? Like, I'm just glad I'm up, you know?
Yeah.
There's more for me still to come.
And it's still making music. I'm a big fan. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just dropped I just finished Dino Blodo's track I did. I don't know whether I want to have it on EP or something. There's a track that I just finished with Dino Blodo, and I've just finished the remix. I'm cleaning up Exemptions EPs. A version of mine who's also my business partner from Dubai. We've been like donkey years together, like past 11 so years, and he's dropping his EP, so I'm working on that now. I think I'm on track 5 or so. I don't know how many you want on that album. Then there's a Dino Blodo project. I've got a son called Valentine, who's coming up with this trap, and he's into all this whole thing. So I'm always excited to work with the young and the established, and so my days are always busy because I'm a creative person. I'm never bored. If I'm bored, I can shoot a video. If I'm bored, so I don't know how collectively I can actually say, what are you doing? I mean, there's still offers of gigs and shows I still go and DJ, but not as much as I used to, but it's got to be a private party or something.
Yes.
Because we love the music. It's the art, you know, and there's a fashion side of things. There's a, there's a lot, bro. Clothes, fashion, perfumes, bra. You know, I meet a lot of people and I'm part of certain groups and certain bands and certain, but ideally it's something that the things that I love. You know, only things that get me excited and things that get me up in the morning and stop me from going to sleep. So when people say, oh, have you achieved this? It's like, bro, can you not see we have to get up again tomorrow?
Thank you so much. Oh, Daudi, I've wanted to continue the conversation. So much wisdom, and it's an honor. I mean, just to look at the 2 generations, there are possibly 1 or 2 other generations between me and you that have learned so much from you, and I'm one of those. And I'm humbled to have had the honor to speak to you and get the chance to hear your story and talk about these things. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you. You know what? I couldn't have done all this on my own. You know, I mean, like I said, I had a lot of people that believed in me from where I came from, with the, you know, like the Osaka rifles, and you know, LRK is like my sidekick. Like I said, you always need a Barnabas, triangular, a cheerleader. I was mentored by a teacher. I had a chance to work with Josh. I had Superman 10 brought me for ZFM Stereo.
Yes.
That changed my life. I became creative manager for what's this TV company, Mighty Movies. So all those roles of being able to be put in those positions by these people because they believe that I'm capable of doing it. and also the local radio stations that I've worked with, from ZBC to ZFM to Express FM, that's over here, and all the artists I've worked with. So I mean, I can name a whole lot, you know, and it's these people that made me who I am. So as much as I like to say, oh, I'll take credit for this and that, nah, not really. Without them, they would never have been me. So, you know, much love and much appreciated. I've never really actually had an opportunity to say, guys, come on, man, you know, thank you. And flowers to you. Forget about me, man. You know what I mean? It's you who made it all possible and happen. And I feel blessed today. Thank you for having me, and keep doing what you're doing here, Grum, and let your ears grow bigger. Like I say, there's more ventures to come, and you and I got a little whisper,
Yeah,
you know,
man.
sometime
Yeah,
later.
man.
Let you look up for this space. You know what I mean?
Blessings. Thanks a
Business,
lot,
man.
man.
Business. 80% business, 20% talent.
Great.
Thoughts?
Thank you so much, Elder. I will let you close this program. I know a lot of people are burning to hear just 30 seconds. Patois from Love Jones signing out, and then we end.
But I mean, I have nothing at all to say, you know, today. It's just cool still.
Yeah, man.
I remember how man make it possible for the Western journey, but I journey to end up here, you know, say. But still, like I said, my journey not stop right here, you know. It's the hero's journey, it's the odyssey. Soon come and back a yard and we'll set up some enterprise, and then my people eat, you know, like a break bread, you know. Like always, we're just here for a short little while, you know, but use the time wisely, you know. Like I said, Jano, stay blessed. Love always. Blessed.
Bless. Take it away. Thank you so much, Elder. I've been there speaking to Love Jones, an elder veteran in the industry. Until next time, remember, earGROUND, keep your ears on the ground for the next program. I'm out. Bless.